right, first, and then while people are joining, they can just simply mention their location and technology, right? So this is Naresh, and I'm basically from a middleware background person, around 14 years of industry experience into multiple domains. So I'm very much passionate about this enterprise integration patterns and middleware, right? I want to understand always about the enterprise integration. So that's where I thought of giving this presentation about the integrations. I'm the MuleSoft Meetup leader for Columbus, and I'll let Ram and Ralph introduce themselves, please.
Hi guys, my name is Ram Ananthan. I'm a senior customer success architect with MuleSoft. Similar to Naresh, I have my career built on integration architecture, enterprise architecture. So that's been my role in the last 20 plus years. So prior to MuleSoft, I was with Tipco Software, and then prior to that, I was working on MQ. So I have some experience in variety of products and areas. So the integration is all the same, right? Depending on technology, you will use new tools and techniques, but the concept is still the same. So I'm happy to organize this meetup today for you guys. We're going to talk about enterprise patterns, and Naresh has prepared a wonderful content for you guys. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Ram. Ralph, maybe you're on mute. Please check.
Yeah, apologies. Oh, so guys, I'm Ralph, one of the meetup leaders here in Columbus. So I'm a solutions architect for Colibra, and I've been using MuleSoft for more than 5 years now. So I'm happy that you joined our meetup, and I look forward on providing some healthy experiences with you guys, and yeah, hopefully that you'll gain something from us. So, yep.
Okay, so let me share presentation. So 1 second. Sorry, did the wrong thing. Okay, so here we are. So the agenda for today is, whoever is joining, please introduce on the chat. If you are unable to maximize, just click on the center of the screen, show controls, and then you see the button to maximize, so that you can see my screen better, right? So basically, today we'll be going to the EAI patterns. So I'll be going on the whiteboard just to see the common patterns, right? So that we can understand. I see people from different technologies and middleware, so that they can correlate these patterns. And every pattern that we go through, we try to relate what is that corresponding configuration or component in the mule that we have, right? And since this is a very big topic, and we don't want to take much time as well, maybe around 1.5 hours of time. So I'm trying to give a demo by executing certain use cases, especially an API or bash or event-based mule process, and I'll be showing what patterns that we can observe, right? So this is pretty much our agenda. And if you see on the top right of the screen, 1 second, let me put a pointer. Yeah. So if you see the menti.com, this site we will be using for our trivia questions. There will be 5 to 6 questions. We might ask these questions at any point of the time. So just be aware and look out for the questions that comes through. Most of those questions, right, through our our whatever I'm presenting, right? So just have in your mobile or website, right, and try to open the session. So whenever we open that questions, then we let you know when we start. You can see them in your mobile screen. That's where you can participate in the quiz. So the top 3 people, they'll get free certification and training voucher from MuleSoft. So just be ready on that, okay? So and for your questions, if you have any questions, right, please post on the chat. If it is possible, we'll try to answer now itself or during the session, or definitely we'll have a dedicated time around 15 minutes at the end. So we will answer all those questions, right? Just be patient on those questions, right? Okay. So since we are already introduced ourselves, whoever is joining newly, we are just MuleSoft leaders from Columbus location, right? So the topic is, enterprise integration patterns. So this is a very big topic, and it's really difficult to discuss about all these patterns in a single session. However, I'm trying to summarize better and easy fashion, right? So basically, the EAI patterns, right? If we talk about a middleware terminology in day-to-day issues, right? Uh, so basically, these patterns, will tell you a common language so that you can identify the pattern based on the situation, based on the context, and that you are in, right? A recurring problem. Basically, these are the solutions for a particular problem. Let's say maybe you might have heard like one of the developers saying, I'm trying to push messages to a queue, but the consumer is unable to read those messages. So which means the messages are lost, right? So definitely there should be a mechanism, to retry them, to reprocess them, right? That's where we have a dead letter queue. Dead letter channel is one type of pattern. So like that, every situation, every context has a pattern, right? So what about the Mule support for these patterns, right? So Mule has almost support for all these patterns, and I'm just trying to go through the patterns from one of the famous book. Maybe all the middleware people knows about it, right? Enterprise integration patterns, right? Written by Grigor, Hope, and Bobby Wolf. So basically, these patterns are already pre-configured in the Mule application, right? And Anypoint Studio is the tool that we use. So just you should know how to use these patterns, and you should know about the patterns based on the context. You can definitely able to implement it. So here is the next slide. So if you see the enterprise integration patterns website or the book, right? Basically, it's a black book. So you see pretty much these patterns, different classification about the patterns, right? So all these patterns, if you are from middleware background, definitely you might have idea. So you see one of the pattern is correlation identifier. So basically, when multiple requests are sent to an API, let's say a Mule API, right? How do you identify a particular request against the response that is sent? That's a correlation identifier, right? So like that, you have a dynamic router. So dynamic router is something we have a choice router in Mule. So if you want to dynamically route to different processors or components or endpoints, right? Dynamic router, that is something that you use. So aggregator is something that you aggregate, right? So and mainly, if you see this diagram, right? After this, I'll go to the whiteboard and I'll explain some. Right? So between application and application B, right? You can see all these possibilities with all these patterns, right? So you can have a router which routes whatever the message that is coming through this sent by the application A through this router. It can route to multiple systems, right? And you can also have a translation around it, right? So and one more thing is, one second, sorry. So you see this point-to-point channel, right? So queue is a perfect example for point-to-point channel where you're publishing to the queue, and on the other end, there is one consumer, only one consumer that consumes that from the queue. So let's say if you have topic, right, publish subscribe channel. So dead letter channel, that's what we just spoke about it, and then guaranteed delivery. So whenever there is a messaging or event-based messaging is involved, we should always yeah, we should always take care about the guaranteed delivery. We'll see how we can have the guaranteed delivery in the Mule. And I also see durable subscribers, idempotent receivers. So these are something like whenever duplicate messages are received by application from another consumer, right? How do you make sure you don't process, then you should, or you throw the error, kind of, right? So let's see some whiteboarding on these patterns before I start on the one of the use case. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so here is the thing. So here are some of the patterns that I have already placed here in the Miro board. This is a whiteboard so that I can better explain the things here. So between the sender and receiver, basically what exactly we are doing here, sender is sending the messages. Again, the terminology, if you see, sender receiver is one terminology, and provider and consumer. One second, sorry. So if you see the receiver, right? Receiver has many different names, right? It can be a provider of the data as well, right? Sender is a consumer, right? Or sometimes you can say source. This is a source, and this is a destination of the data, right? So where exactly this between the sender and receiver, we actually, the MuleSoft being a middleware, comes into the picture, and 1 second. If you also see a channel, right, a channel between both application A and application B, this is endpoint. Endpoint is nothing but it's a part of the message source. Let's say in the Mule, you have a you have any component, your file listener, which is listening, right? That is basically an endpoint, which is sending the message through a channel. So basically, a messaging channel can be anything. It can be a point-to-point or publish subscribe. Basically, it can be a JMS system or a Kafka system, right? Basically, it's a channel which is sending and receiving the data, right? This is something. And another enterprise pattern that we see is pipes and filter concept. So as you see in the picture, right? Whenever there is an order, incoming order, so you're working through this process, right? Continuously, you're applying 3 filters, right? Mule is all about the pipes and filters. If you see the Mule flow, all the components will have like this, basically a flow with multiple components. Each component is considered as a filter. So that's a pipes and filter concept, right? So if you see this, it's a correlation ID pattern. If you observe carefully, this is a requester and this is a, let me take a pen. So this is the requester and this is a replier, right? And requester actually sending 1, 2, 3 messages. Number one, number two, number three, right? 1 second. So how and the response and the replier is sending 1, 2, 3 in the same sequential fashion, right? For the first message, replier sent the message 1. So how the first message is can be correlated to the message 1 when the requester is receiving the message. That is using the correlation ID pattern. So we'll see in the Mule, in the Mule API, okay, whenever consumer is calling a Mule API, so we can send a header, and then basically it's called correlation ID, so that the requester knows about it, right? So that is one thing. So another pattern that you see, regularly, it's called splitter pattern and aggregator pattern, right? So whenever there is a message, if you see this is a message with maybe a collection of 3 messages, okay, just to show the differentiation, 3 colors, right? And a splitter is processing those 3 messages in like this sequentially, order 1, order 2, order 3, right? So we have a splitter and aggregator pattern. Aggregator is the opposite of it. 3 messages are aggregated into 1 message. So we have different components in Mule which follow these patterns, like for each, parallel for each. So Bash also internally does this, right? So, but there is slight difference between all these components with respect to splitter and aggregator that we will see, right? And one of the famous pattern, if you see here, which is uh, a scatter gather pattern. So one of the real-time example is maybe if you have seen policygenius.com, Policy Bazaar from India, right? So basically, so whenever you want to have a quote for your insurance, right? So you fill your details, and then and when you submit, the vendor will give you maybe the website, right? Will give you the quotes from multiple vendors. So if you see that internally, the same thing happening here. It's called scatter gather. So you're broadcasting your details, the website, or like Policy Genius or Policy whatever, right? They send to multiple vendors, and then they aggregate. So what exactly is happening? It's broadcasting, so scatter and gathering, right? So scatter gather is one of the Mule component that pretty much has this pattern, right? Scatter gather. Okay, so that is another pattern. Okay, so another thing is, so we will go through these in our coming demo quickly. Not all of them, at least some, right? So another thing is polling consumer. So sender is sending the message. A consumer, a receiver has a polling consumer, basically a listener kind of, and it continuously listens for the messages, right? So this is a polling consumer. So we have file, FTP, JMS, VM, right? Different message process in Mule, which has this polling consumer pattern. So if you see this, this is a point-to-point channel. Okay, the sender is sending messages, order 1, order 2, order 3, and receiver is receiving in the same sequence, order 1, order 2, order 3 through this channel. So definitely, if you see this, any queue, implemented by the JMS vendor definitely falls under the point-to-point channel. In Mule, we support Mule supports basically multiple JMS, either ActiveMQ or RabbitMQ, right? Mule also has a VM queues internally that also has the same pattern, sender and receiver. Okay. One more thing with respect to reliability or guaranteed delivery is whenever sender is sending the message, receiver receiving it. So let's have a queue in between, right? So sender sends the message into the queue, and receiver starts receiving from the queue, right? This is with this pattern in the Mule also we can implement using VM queues or JMS queues. Basically, it's called reliability pattern. So in this way, we can always see that sender won't lost message anytime you have a message in either of this disk, which a persistent storage, possibly a queue, right? And or here, right? So we can implement this pattern as well in the Mule with reliable and acquisition flow with the VM queues, right? This is another another pattern with respect to guarantee delivery or reliability. So one more pattern is request and reply pattern. So this definitely can be possible with PM queues and JMS queues in Mule. So you have a your request channel is sending the message to replier, and it waits for the uh, response. So the replier will send the response after processing it to a reply channel, another queue. That's where requester knows about it. So this is a famous request reply pattern basically. Okay. And this is another thing, as you see, whenever there is address change, publisher is sending to a topic, and there might be multiple subscribers within the system to see the updates, right? There can be multiple subscribers. So again, here this is called publish subscribe channel. These subscribers, if they are durable, then all three subscribers can consume the message from the topic, right? So it's like a publish, subscribe. And the last thing is a message store, right? So whenever you want to store the messages, throughout the processing in any application, you can have it stored. So we have a similar pattern using object store in Mule. So object store is used for the same reason, to store state of the application. And again, multiple use cases are possible with that. Okay, so these are the pretty much patterns that I'll be going through, and this is kind of a whiteboard that I thought of showing. Okay, and then so having said that, the first use case that we have here is a real-time API. So basically, I have a Mule API that that creates accounts in Salesforce. So we can possibly see these kind of patterns there, right? Polling consumer, message translation, enrichment. So dynamic routing using a choice router, and how can we have a correlation and scatter gather with these, right? So let's see some demo on this on these use case. 1 second. Okay. So this is my sample API. So what I'm doing here, basically, I'm trying to get the accounts and post the accounts. Okay, I'll show you the implementation here. So what I'm doing here for get, I'm trying to get the account from Salesforce. So basically, this is a Salesforce. Just to give overview for other people from other technology, right? So this is a Mule project, and these are the Mule flows. You can have multiple flows within the same configuration file, or we can have a different configuration files. So basically, these flows are reusable, right? And I'll show you what are the patterns. And mostly this, what are the demo that I'm just showing. My focus is not on the in-depth knowledge on the connector or whatever I'm using. It's all about the patterns. I just want to highlight the pattern that we are using, right? So so let's see a create account flow. So this is my, a subflow that I'm calling from actual main flow here. So create account flow, right? So if you see this, the implementation flow. So what are the pattern that I'm using here? If you see idempotent message validator, right? So the pattern is it always look out for the duplicate names, whatever the requester is sending, and then it will try to throw the error. So this is what one of the pattern that we have discussed earlier. And if you see, this is the transform message. The pattern is a translation, right? So the consumer, the requester, basically I'll be using a postman to test this API. So we'll be sending a different format, and ultimately I need to transform the payload into the format of the Salesforce. That's the reason I'm transforming, right? So this is a data translation pattern, right, that we have seen. So, and this is a connector. And then if you see, this is another pattern. So what I'm doing here, after calling the create on the Salesforce, I'm using a choice router here, right? I'm doing a choice router. These are the conditions on the choice router, and if you see, if I get a success, okay, then I'm trying to transform the payload and finally responding back, right? So let me explain this. Before that, I'll run this first. Okay. And another thing that I want to highlight here, along with this, right? I will try to demo, the create flow, and I'll also try to demo these patterns, right? So if you see, I created another subflow. Possibly I'll be calling from the same main flow, right? So what is the difference between this is a round robin component, and this is scatter gather, and this is first successful, right? So here is a use case where what I'm doing here is one second. Okay, what I'm doing here is so I'm trying to call multiple backend APIs, in a round robin fashion. The idea of the round robin, as you know, in this pattern, any of the API is called, not all at the same time. So when you send multiple messages, right, each message might go randomly to any of the flow, right? And this is a flow reference. Internally, I'm calling another API or service, basically. And if you see the scatter gather, as I was explaining earlier in the whiteboard, so the idea is, so let's say this particular is calling, to fetch the primary account, and this is to fetch the billing account, and this one is to fetch the service account, right? So when the scatter gather is called, these three APIs or the backend services called simultaneously with the message that it is received, and then it will be aggregated. At this point, it is aggregated. I am just retrieving those messages, right? So let me test it. Uh, first create account flow. Okay. So I'm trying to test this flow, the create account. So I already tried to create this account earlier. Okay, that's reason I see account creation failed. Since the application is running up and running, let's see the logs, right? Before that, I'll point out where I have the logs here. Oh, okay, so this is a filter that at the entrance we have, and then I'm logging before the call and after the call, of Salesforce call. As you see, the filter is actually throwing this error. Okay. See, before the flow reference, which is before the create. Yeah. Okay, one cache here. So the first time the filter didn't execute because it doesn't have any memory to compare against, right? So, but we got the error from Salesforce because I think I already used same account. So let me try to change. So this account with this name, it's already there on Salesforce. That's the reason it is giving an error. So what I will do is 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So let me try to create. So the actual execution, the idempotent filter should not give any error because it doesn't have any state. The previous state it has is 1, 2, 3, right? So if I click on that, account created successfully, because this does not exist in Salesforce, as well as the idempotent receiver does not know about it, right? So let me remove this. Sorry, I mean, let me hit again. See, I see this error, right? Internal server error. So let's see from where we are getting this error. See, we got this error, mule duplicate message, and it is idempotent message validator, right? Okay, you're sending the same contact twice and you got this error. So provide, if you don't have this message validator, you might have got the error from Salesforce, but we don't want to go there. This is how we can avoid the duplicate messages. So what exactly how it is working? You have an ID expression here and the value expression here. You're checking the name. So you need to identify which field actually makes this, right? So this is again idempotent pattern. Okay, and if you see the log, so Mule is all about events, and if you see every transaction that is triggered, you have an event ID associated, right? You have an event ID associated. So this is also called as a correlation ID, right? So how the requester knows about the correlation ID? So as you see here, let me see. I'll add this correlation ID. Okay. So when we send the correlation ID, okay, it should be there in the the Mule out of box correlation ID should be replaced with this. That's where the consumer always knows, and they can check with the Mule what developer whoever is there, right? So they can check for this correlation ID what exactly the issue. So like that, out of multiple calls, they can change the correlation ID and they can test it. The error is because of this. Let me change the name, and then I have this correlation ID. So this is failed because of, maybe, let me see what else we have. But anyway, I want to see the correlation ID first. See, every event in the log has the correlation ID got replaced with the correlation ID that we are sending here. Okay. So this is a correlation ID pattern. One second. And then whenever you are creating, okay, the connector has some configuration called reconnection strategy. This is again a pattern with respect to reliability, that you can always not to lose the connections. You can always have a number of attempts for the reconnection, right? So another thing that if you see, this is a palette that we have, all the components that we have. So another thing that you can use is where is this? Okay, until successful. Yeah, until successful, right? So until successful is another pattern that you can use by wrapping up the call. What it will do is whenever there is a response other than 200, it will try to retry, right? This is another pattern that you can use it. So I'm not going to test all the scenarios here, but okay, let me test the scatter gather. One second, where is the implementation? He's here. Sorry. So how the round robin scatter gather works, right? One second. So I'll show you how the scatter gather with the sample payload, before and after, how it is working. So what I will do is I'll call this flow from the main flow. Okay, so this is my main flow. Okay, I have the create. So okay, or I will do one thing. Let me do one thing. Sorry about it. Where is the yeah, save it. Okay, and it is saving. So what I'm doing, I'm logging before the flow reference and after the flow reference, right? Let me test the create account. So what I'm doing, I'm just sending these account details, right? So what is happening here? So as I was telling, I have a log here. I have log, after the flow reference. This flow reference is internally calling the scatter gather flow, right? So let me show you the logs here. So this is the before flow reference. This is my input payload, okay, and this is the scatter gather, service account. So this particular log, I'm actually adding in one of the node of this scatter gather, which is actually giving my service account. And then, since this is a parallel broadcast of the message, so I should see three logs from the three vendors or the backend services, right? So this is the service account, this is primary account, and then this is billing account. I have the log statements in all the billing account flow, primary account flow, and where is that? Yeah, three flows. And then if you see the scatter gather, okay, once it is received after scatter gather, you see all these nodes, okay. Basically scatter gather is collecting all the events and the context from three calls, right? This is another node, okay, 1 and 2, 0, 1, 2, right? Three nodes. It is actually it created as an array. And then I used a data viewer expression using a flatten. I created an array to get only the required data, right? So it is actually a scatter gather approach, right? So that is how scatter gather works here. Okay. And let's say round robin. If I want to test the round robin quickly, so what I will do is let me change this flow from the main flow. Okay, this is the round robin flow. Save it. It is deploying. Okay, sometimes I have this kill. Okay, while it is running, I want to talk about the enrichment part of it. So as you see, whenever this call started, right, this flow reference internally has this scatter gather flow, subflow, and then and then I'm logging here. So when I'm logging here post flow reference, I see the payload which is returned from this flow reference, right? So but let's say if I want to have a data enrichment to my input payload, I don't want to change the payload through flow reference, right? And in that case, so if you see the flow reference, so I have this target value and target, right? So this is actually a pattern for enrichment. So let's say if I output payload, right? So if I want to have this, if I store this message here, and if I'm logging that, okay. So basically, I will be logging my output payload, which is returned, right? In this way, I'm not changing. I mean, if I put payload here, okay, so I should be able to log whatever I'm logging here, right? Before flow reference and after flow reference, I should able to see the same payload, because the output of the flow reference is actually I'm assigning to output payload, which means the payload which is actually the input to the flow reference, there's no change, right? Okay, we will see that. Okay, sorry, let me stop. So we will see two executions here. One is this enrichment pattern, and the other one is a round robin pattern. We'll observe both patterns after testing from Postman. Okay, so this is a Postman. So what I'm doing here, I'm just trying to create the account, right? And I got successful response. Let's observe the logs. So you see the logs, since I'm using a round robin pattern. Where is the round robin? Did I use it? Okay, since I'm calling only once, right? I have only one call. It went to primary account, right? And okay, first observe the data enrichment pattern. Before flow reference, we have our input payload, account details and all, okay? And then after flow reference also, we have the same account. But if you see, this is the data, okay, address type, primary, main phone. This is the data that we got returned from after round robin, right? Which means there is no change in the input payload to the flow reference. That is how it is. So in order to observe the round robin, right? Let me hit the API multiple times through Postman to see the dynamic execution. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I executed thrice. Hope it works. Yeah, you see sometimes I see service account, sometimes I see billing account. Okay, and sometimes I see primary account flow. Okay, which means round robin is working fine. Okay, these are the patterns that we want to discuss here. Now I'm stopping here. I hope everyone is good on this. So let me open the slide. slide. Hey Ralph, are you able to see the mission?
I'm sorry.
Are you able to see the system?
No.
Okay.
Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
Okay, so we will go through the another use cases on the event messaging, right? And then batch process. So we will see all these patterns here: publish, subscribe, dead letter, guarantee delivery, polling consumer here, and if possible, we will see this ETL batch process. Okay, so let me show some demo on the polling, publish, subscribe. Okay. So we have contact event process. Okay, so this is the Mule project that I've developed just to see the events, right? So a couple of the patterns that we want to observe is just a point-to-point channel. How do we observe that pattern? So let me show you this one. Yeah. Okay. So if you see this, I'm trying to use ActiveMQ here just to showcase this pattern. Uh, so let me explain first of all the patterns and how I've developed, and then maybe I'll execute a couple of them just to show that, right? So basically, this is my main flow contact event process, and then I'm using a flow reference to call multiple flows, right? So this is my ActiveMQ flow. Okay. Whenever a message is received, so basically here it's a contact. What I will do is, if you see the event process, this is a on new or update file. Basically, it's a polling consumer pattern that we have with the file. So this is all new update file, and also for JMS also we have on new message. For VM is another out of box uh, technology or queuing that MuleSoft has provided with, and that also has a listener, right? All these three are related to polling consumer pattern that we have. So if you see this, I'm trying to pull a file from the directory, data input directory, and I'm calling multiple flows, right? That flows, I have a publish, subscribe pattern, all these patterns, calling from the same flow. So first thing that I want to explain is this subflow, right? So basically, when you read that file and let's say I have a sample file with uh, you know, five contacts. Five contacts. It's a CSV file with first name, last name, right? These are the five contacts, right? I have as a file. This file I will be using for the demo. I'll be dropping into the input folder, which is actually being listened by the file. So and then here it comes, right? Once the file is read, you're looping through using for each pattern. For each, basically it's a sequential execution, and you are publishing to a publish queue, right? So basically I've created a contact queue on the ActiveMQ, and I'm publishing here, right? So let's see how the dead letter channel works here. So whenever there's an error, I've implemented a manual dead letter channel here. So this is a on error continue block, right? I want to validate if one of the field on the record, the CSV file record, right? One of the field company name, is it empty? Then it is then it will throw the error, and then it comes here, right? So then it will go to DLQ. So this is a pattern that we have discussed. Whenever there is an issue while publishing, okay, you can put in a process and finally place in dead letter queue, so that it can be reprocessed manually, so that you'll not lose a message, right? So this is for dead letter queue. And then your this is a consume flow, and you're consuming the message and you're upsetting on the Salesforce, so upsetting the contacts. So the idea is you read from the file and publish to GMS, and then from consumer it reads, and again this is again GMS polling, and it will publish to Salesforce. So this is another pattern that we have here, right? Publish, uh, consume. So this particular pattern, publish, consume, for the queues, we can achieve with the VM queues as well. So the idea here is, VM queues is provided by MuleSoft inbuilt. There is no JMS server involved. You cannot have all the JMS things like selector, priority, all those things you don't have here. But the mainly for asynchronous processing, you can use VM queues here. Again, VM works like any JMS queue. If you see the VM, we have publish, listener, and consume. You can have it. So here I'm publishing, and here I'm listening, right? Publish events to VM queue, and consuming from the so again, five records if you're reading, right? One record by record, you're looping through sequentially and for each, and then you're publishing to a VM queue and you're reading, right? So this is a normal point-to-point channel pattern that we can see. And another one is publish subscribe, right? So again, I'm using ActiveMQ here. So if you see, I have configured a topic called contact topic on the ActiveMQ. I'm publishing here, and I have two subscribers, right? One subscriber and two subscribers, right? So even though subscriber 2 is not available or not active, connected, right? Subscriber 1 will consume the message, and once subscriber 2 is active, then you can start consuming the message from the topic by subscriber 2. This is how you have publish subscribe with durable subscribers, right? Maybe from other middleware guys, they can know this durable subscription concept. We will see that in the demo. I just want to explain one more thing is a request reply pattern, right? So the request reply pattern, as we discussed, here I'm showing with the VM queues, right? So publish consume operation on the VM queue I'm using. So what it does, you're publishing to your VM queue, okay, and waiting for the response, right? And let's say a listener is listening to the queue, and then if there is no issue, okay, it will respond back with this message, right? And here you can, if you see the log, you can see that message, right? That's what we will test now. So the first test, so we will see request reply, publish, subscribe, and dead letter channel. These are the main patterns with respect to messaging that we can simply see the demo, right? So for that, what I will do here, so here in the flow reference, what I will do, publish. Okay, one second. Let me see the flow name. Publish, consume, contacts, events, right? So this is publish, contacts, events, ActiveMQ flow. publish contacts events ActiveMQ flow. This is the flow. Okay. I want to see from the logs we can observe. So, and also I'll show the ActiveMQ console whether we have published any records, right? Let me show the ActiveMQ console. Where is that? Okay. So you see contact queue. There is no pending message here. Okay. So what I will do is, one second. Sorry about it. Okay. So I minimized. Let me test once. So as I said, I'm dropping a file. First of all, let me start the process. I'm dropping a file with 5 contacts, okay, in the input folder. Okay, now my file polling consumer is actually polling this folder. Okay, it's continuously listening that folder. Since I have put this file again, this polling consumer, and whenever the server is ready, it will pick up the file. Okay, let me see what is happening here. One second, why it is not reading data input.
Copying the file one more time because it's a new file, right? So it doesn't know that it's a new file.
Okay. Yeah, ideally it should pick. Okay, I'll try that. Let me delete. Okay, and copy, paste. One second. Let me see if I have any other issues. Did it run this contact? One second. Oh, sorry. My bad. I'm running a different application. Okay. So let me run contacts event process. The previous run, when I click on the green button, it picked up the previous API that has run, right? So that's the thing. Yeah, generally there is a initial delay that we configure on the consumer. Ideally, by default, it should be 0. It should be picked up. I need to check the configuration though. So this is a polling consumer, and the pattern that we are going to see is like how a point-to-point channel, with the publish and consume the queues. One second. Could not visualize. One second. There might be a problem with this file. Okay. Where is this? I don't want to troubleshoot here. Where is the error? It is in consume contacts. So JSON. Consume contacts events. Consume contacts events. Okay. And then, oh, sorry. This is publish contacts events. Is it? I think I placed a wrong publish contacts events. Okay, so I was pointing to a wrong, thing, wrong flow. So as we discussed, we will try to close by 8 or 8:15. So, but before that, we'll try to finish these use cases, and then we have a trivia, and then if you have any questions, we can go through those questions from your chat. Okay, I think it started. Okay. So let me copy. So this particular CSV file, I wantedly remove the one of the field, right, company name. So that's where we have our validator, and it will throw the error and it will go to the DL queue, right? And out of 5 records, I have only put for 2 records like this. So 3 records should be here, right? That's the plan. So I'm closing this. The application is up and running, and copy and paste. Okay. Oh my God. So there is some issue while consumption. Okay, that's fine. But publishing. Let me do one thing. We are getting some error when consuming, right? From this point, we are getting some error. So what I will do, I'll stop the consumption. Okay, I'll stop the consumption. Okay, let me see only on the publishing. And before that, let's see the current statistics. Even then, we should be able to see the current statistics on the what is that, on the ActiveMQ. Excuse me. Okay, I see 4 messages got failed. Uh, and since even though we got the error, I think they processed from the contact queue whatever successful. So this is the statistics anyway. Let's test once again. So I have 5 messages, and I'm putting here in the input folder. Oh, sorry, it's not started again. So I'm stopping the consumption flow, and I enabled only the publish flow, right? Just to see. Sometimes it takes this much time. Okay, it ran. Okay, it ran, and out of 5 messages, we will try to observe what happened. So we are logging it just input file. So it should have 5 records: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the company name is missing for the first record with James and Donator, right? So for the first record, we got the error. That's why it pushed into error dead letter queue, right? First record. And for the rest, second record for each before publish. I have a log within the for each, right? So rest 3 records successful, right? No issue with the dead letter. And fifth record again had this issue. And again, fifth record got inserted into dead letter queue, right? So this is how we can implement the dead letter queue implementation, right? So the other thing that we can observe is VMQ's request reply, right? So what I will do is I'll point my flow to this, right? So so as I was explaining, so we are publishing as well as consuming. So the listener, so this can be in the same for example I have put here, but it can be anywhere, right? So here I want to show this request and reply pattern. I have a log here in the listener, okay, and I'm transforming here saying received and responded. So this log within the reply flow should have this state this the same log, and as well as after consumption also with this category, if you see the log, you should be able to see the same log, right? That's the intent. So contacts, events, VM request flow is our main flow. So let me change that. Contacts, events, VM request flow. Okay, so I'm saving it ideally. Oh, I forgot. I thought I should stop this too, right? So that we can, no, it will wait for that. Sorry about it. This is a published consumption pattern. We cannot stop the consumption because it the publish whoever is publishing, they will wait, right? So I cannot stop the consumption. If I stop it, then there will be a timeout on the publisher side. So it's logging. I have pointed to this VM request flow. Okay, I'm getting sometimes this issue. So let me redeploy. This is not a pure request reply. Generally, with ActiveMQ or any JMS messaging, you can have a request and reply. If you see the JMS publish consume, within that you'll have two queues. One is to post and one is to receive. Right here, the VMs are internally handled by the server. Again, couple of things based on your deployment model with respect to persistency, where this data is stored, right? That's a different thing. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm copying the 5 contacts, right? So the entire data here. So since I'm not transforming anything in the main flow, right? It just comes here. So when publish consume in this log, I should see the entire 5 contacts transformed as a JSON, right? I should be able to see here. And in this log, the category type is after publish consume. I should see whatever the transformation I have here, received and responded, right? So let me move that and console here. Okay, this is here. So this is the first log that I have input file, okay, in the main flow, right? Then I'm here before publish consume. I have this log before publishing consume, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After consuming, if you see, this is from contacts, events, VM request reply flow. This is the second flow, where we received, and we have a log there, VM reply queue, right? That log is after the transformation, received and responded. Again, after that, this is again the publisher flow, where we got the response back, okay, after publish consume, right? After publish consume, we got the status received and responded. So this is a typical, request request reply. So now we'll see one more pattern quickly. Subscribe, publish, subscribe, right? So topic thing. So what I will do here, just for testing, I will stop this subscriber 2, okay, and only subscriber 1 is ready to listen, and then I will point this flow, the publisher flow, to the main flow, right? Publish topic events, ActiveMQ flow. So here I'll point to my publish. What is that? I forgot. Subscriber. Yeah, publish topic events, ActiveMQ flow, right? This is the. Let me close others. Okay, so this is publish topic events, ActiveMQ flow. So I have saved. It should be auto deploying. So what I will do, I will drop the message from here, and it should loop through for each, and it should publish to the topic, right? And then subscriber should listen to the 5 messages. There should be 5 log statements for each of the contact. So copy this and paste it. Okay. So what I've done is in each logger to identify, I have put topic subscriber 1, right? And inside the for each, if you see here, I have put publish topic, right? So now we'll see the log. So this is my, again, input file. I think this is my input file with an array input file, right? With 5 CSV contacts. And then you see publish topic in the for each, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 messages, right? And I see topic subscriber 1. Okay. This is something, I think it's a log. Yeah, James, Joseph, 5 again here, right? Subscriber 1. So this is actually a concept of durable subscription, right? Let me show the ActiveMQ console as well quickly. So topics here. So we have contact topic, subscribers here, right? I've created the subscriptions, with the client ID, and I've configured in the Mule to receive. So one second, where I can see this topics here. Yeah, this active subscribers. Okay, so the second one not up. That is, it's not set. The first one is active. It consumed. You see, I think it dequeued 8 messages. Yeah, it has 5 messages pending, right? I think it ran initially 3 messages. That's reason we have 8. Okay, that's fine. But you see pending queue size 5. Now when I start the second subscriber, this should go away, and it should have a DQ of 8, right? I'll not be showing, but maybe in the log we can see that, right? Now let me maximize. Oh, sorry. 1 second. So I'm reviewing the console. So what I'll do, let me start the second subscription. What is this? Okay. So it is auto deploying. You should only see the logs because the topic has the messages, right? The 5 messages. You should only see the logs from the subscriber too. Okay, that's fine. So it got some issue. Let me restart. I will tell you one beautiful thing. Hope it works. After this, we will see splitter and aggregator pattern. okay, one pattern with one example, and then we'll have possibly trivia questions, and then we'll have answers for your questions too. Okay, see, this is the beauty of it, right? So you have topic subscriber to. So this is how persistency matters, right? Even the server restarted, right? I have the messages because it's a durable subscription, and it is the messages are already there on the topic, right? This is a traditional publish subscribe, but you have Kafka, which is way beyond this with the streaming and multiple features. Mule also has a Kafka connector to have that same pattern. So you see all these messages are read by the subscriber too. And obviously, if you see the console, you should be able to see that uh, the enqueued and dequeued properly reflected. Okay. Okay, one last pattern that we see here is splitter and aggregator, right? So what are the components in Mule that has that splitter and aggregator? So what I have defined okay, here, what I have done is, again, here also I'm reading the CSV file, okay, and I'm calling these subflows. I can call any of this. So if you see this batch, it's called mule batch component. It is highly effective and important when you have an ETL like process, right? So again, with respect to patterns, I'm not going into the batch. I'm only discussing about the pattern here, right? So splitter and aggregator. So what a batch does, it's again, even though it's ETL, it follows the ETL extract, load, and transform. But if you see, this is a batch component. One second. Yeah, this is a batch component which has a batch step and aggregator. So what I'm doing here, in each batch step, we have a transformation which works on each record. And the aggregator actually aggregates all the record that processed in the step. And then we call Salesforce. So if you are from Salesforce, if you know that, basically we have a bulk V2 APIs on Salesforce to load, millions of records, but not in single go, because Salesforce has some limits. But this is how we use a batch component, and then we load into Salesforce, right? So this is a splitter and aggregator is definitely used here internally, even though it uses multiple threads for parallel processing, but it uses that, right? And again, if you see the for each, programmatically for each, basically it's a sequential processing, okay? And I'm just trying to publish here, but I want to highlight that, right? It is actually splitting the collection that it is receiving and then processing one by one, right? Another beautiful processor that Mule has provided is parallel for each. Again, it is also using a splitter and aggregator, right? But there's a difference, right? The parallel for each, it takes a collection and then it parallelly process the collection, right? You can have a backend API calls. It depends, right? And finally, it will also aggregate, and you can get that the aggregated payload here, right? So in earlier Mule versions, you don't see in the palette, but you can see it in the 4.3 and higher versions, right? So again, it's not same as scatter gather, but it's different, right? Scatter gather is actually broadcasting to multiple systems, and then it is gathering the data, right? It is different. This is something like it is working parallelly, and then it is uh, the output it is aggregating here, right? something different. So what we can, okay, this is one of the splitter and aggregator pattern. Another beautiful thing with respect to splitter and aggregator that Mule has provided is this one. Okay, so we have different aggregators in Mule called group, size, and time-based aggregators, right? So what it does is, so you publish messages to VM publisher, and the VM listens those messages and passes to the time-based aggregator, right? And then a listener, basically here it just has an object store internally, and it keeps aggregating the data over the time that is listened by the VM. And then the aggregate listener finally it listens to the data, and then if you see the log, you can see the aggregated data. Right? This is another aggregation pattern that Mule has it. Very beautiful pattern. That is one thing. I will not be able to execute all this, but I just want to highlight one more thing. How do you process asynchronously? I just want to show that. Okay. Okay, so whenever you want to process asynchronously, right? See here you're reading a particular file, and then you're calling some backend API or API service, but you can have an async scope, okay? That you can see here that runs asynchronously in a different thread, so that you don't have impact on the processing. Whenever you don't need that kind of processing, you can do that, right? So let me show you that. This is the API. Okay, contact load API, contact read flow.
Hi, Naresh. How many minutes do we have left?
I think this is the last. Okay, maybe if further demo is not, I think we are almost on time, right? So maybe I'll skip the demo because I already explained this batch thing, right? So maybe I'll skip this demo, but I think I've almost covered all the patterns. Maybe we can work on the trivia, right? What do you say?
Yep. Maybe, yeah, I can also share my experience with them.
Sure.
Quickly, just 1 minute. So I started as a Java developer. I initially don't know the patterns or design patterns, but these integration patterns actually helped me in my career and as an integration architect as well. So for those who have less experience, this is also an opportunity for you to learn the what is behind. Like we speak this language normally in our daily jobs, but this will actually help you in your career as in integration. So try to invest some time learning integration patterns.
Yeah, basically these patterns you can correlate with your use cases and situations, and
Yeah.
effectively you can use with the Mule, right? Pretty much all these patterns are inbuilt with the uh, Mule runtime, so you should know how to configure and use them, and you should also know about the pattern, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So having said that, anyone is having any questions? So some of the, okay, we will answer these questions post trivia, right? Okay. So let me open the trivia questions. Please enter your what you say. Yeah, yeah. Please enter into your Menti. I see 20 odd participants. Please enter this. Code by logging into menti.com from your mobile, right? So 10 people logged in, 11, let's see, 12. I'll wait for a couple of minutes to see everyone join, and then we will have a trivia questions. Whoever answer first, they'll have more points, and the top three people, they'll get the free certification and training vouchers, right? Okay, that's all. 14, we have 21. Okay, I'll be starting the trivia. So answer fast to get more points. This is the first question. You have 15 seconds. Look at your mobile and answer. Okay, sounds good. I think most of the people know about it. So, okay, J, NKM Sai, right? Okay, next question. Okay, which component of the palette broadcast deaggregate? You have 15 seconds to answer. All right, we have majority got scatter and gather. Okay, I see the same fastest. Wow. So this is the third question. $15 to answer. Okay, I think we have distribution across all the answers. Content enrichment, right? Yeah, you're enriching from the external resources. Yeah. Okay. Question number 4. Watermark. That's great. Watermark is whenever you're pulling a file, you can have a watermark, not to read the same file again and again if the processing is completed and schedule is speaking again. Struck. I think it's kind of struck, it seems. 1 second. Okay. Question number 5. Mule VM supports which type of messaging channel? Yeah, it is kind of tricky, right? It is a queue. It's not a topic. Generally, it's a point-to-point a channel, right? So we have these final winners. Let's see. We have Jay, Suraj, and Krishna Pilla, right? So these are the winners for trivia. Congrats. So yeah, let me make a note of them. Jay, Suraj.
Congratulations to all. Congratulations to everyone who participated, and of course to the winners.
Yeah, congratulations. That's great. So let's see if we have any questions here, right? Uh,
So let me read the question. The first question I see is, what is the difference between VMMQ and ActiveMQ?
okay, so ActiveMQ is something like a third-party open source messaging server provided, right? It's a JMS type, but VM is something inbuilt provided by MuleSoft, mainly for asynchronous processing. So that's the main difference.
DLQs are created automatically or manually created? Next question.
So yeah, so uh, I can say both, right? So you can have your logic at the application level, or you can, if you see the ActiveMQ, the DLQs are automatically created, and you have a configuration that you can do it. So it depends on the one messaging JMS server to another server, and you can implement.
Do these 65 patterns solve all business use cases, or is it just theoretical? Share your experience.
I think you have to answer that, Ram, if possible.
Yeah, I did. I did answer in the chat itself. See, what we saw in the demo are all practical problems, right? They are not made up problems. You see in day-to-day life in integrations, all these scenarios, no scatter gather or no dead letter queue, or these are all very practical problems that you solve using these patterns. The patterns are not no, you may not know that you're using all these patterns or combination of them, but you are solving, whether it's MuleSoft or no any technology, you are using one of these patterns to solve your business case. So they're not just theoretical, they are practical. And if you analyze your code, any code, you will see many patterns that you are already using, but you're not aware that they are patterns, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can also speak to that. So if you're in the business side of like group, you don't deal much with the patterns. But if you're on your technical side, these are some of the things that like what Ram said, you're not aware of, but you're actually using it. So there's a different. These patterns have different pros and cons. So try to also understand the context, whether you need to use the patterns or not. There's some cases that you don't need to use the patterns. There's some cases that you really need to use the patterns to improve your implementation.
Yeah. So definitely, as Ram mentioned, uh, these solve real use cases. If you are from middleware background, and if you are into middleware daily, day-to-day work, every API, every batch process, every queuing that you do has a pattern involved out of these 65 patterns predominantly, right? So these 65 patterns give a common language for any technology, any people from any technology to understand the pattern and relate to the use case and apply that. Yeah, I think we have all the questions answered. Jay, Suraj, Krishna Pilla, right? We'll be giving, we'll be reaching out, through emails about the vouchers. Yeah.
Awesome, guys, for participating on a Friday evening. I know just before between you and the weekend, I think we've stolen your time, but it was very good, informative session, Naresh. Very useful and good participation also. Could you please let us know where the recording? Okay, recording will be available on the Meetup site itself, right? On the website. Is that right, Naresh?
Yes, and possibly we should ask Mariana to upload into the YouTube. She said she can do that if possible.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Dhananjay, email. Here is one, right? Suraj. Suraj, what is your email? Just I think because they have used their short names, it's difficult. Okay. Suraj dot Kumar.
Kumar 4. Kumar.
Kishore. Kishore7973@gmail.com. Dhananjay.Verma. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, everyone, and the leaders. Thank you so much. I think we are good to go. We're closing the session now. Yeah. Any feedback?